a Pro Football Hall of Famer from the Detroit Lions organization from back in the day, one of the all-time greats from Oklahoma State, the third overall leading rusher in National Football League history, Barry Sanders, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Barry?
Rich, I'm great, man. How's it going?
I'm better for talking to you. What's your draft memory? Where were you on the night you were drafted?
The day I was drafted, Rich, I was actually at home with family. We're talking about 80, 89. And so not a lot of people went to New York. I don't know when they started doing that, but I was actually at a family friend's at a friend's restaurant. Your buddy Dan Patrick was there with me, covering everything. So it was an absolute blast. I have a large family, and it was just a bizarre scene.
And so, who was the one who called you to say you were a Detroit Lion?
The Lions called me. I believe it was Coach Fonts called me and said I was a Lion. I mean, I had a pretty good idea that they were going to draft me because, I did my pro day there at Oklahoma State. Afterwards, Coach Fonts pulled me into the office and said, "Hey, look, if you're coming out, we got to draft you. There's no question about it." I didn't know what to think. I mean, I assumed that was correct, and so I had no reason to believe that wasn't going to happen, and so things pretty much went according to script for me. But at the same time, I had watched Thurman Thomas drop to the second round the year before, and so I knew that things do happen. Things do happen on draft day, and you just never know until you get the call. Was it possible that the Packers were going to take you too that year instead of Tony Mandrich? Thinking back, I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, Tony Mandrich, he was an absolute monster. There was every reason to believe he was going to be a great NFL player, looking at his size and the way he dominated the college game. And so you'd have to ask the Packers, but I just, I thought probably, honestly, people back then probably would have thought I was more of a gamble than he was.
Wow. Are you serious? Why would they think that? Because you're just the nature of the position at running back, Barry?
Well, I think because, I was just a one-year starter. I played in a different conference. A lot of people question our conference up against the Big Ten at that time, and also just looking at how Tony Mandrich dominated his position. I remember him being on Sports Illustrated, and just how how physically big he was, but just how popular he was. You would look at him and just think of a sure bet, great, NFL player.
Barry Sanders joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. And so you obviously had, as we all know, one of the great all-time careers. I'm sure you get asked this all the time. I'll ask it anyway. Is there any point in your life after playing football that you thought I should have stayed longer?
That's a tough question. Not really. I mean, I'm happy with my decision to leave when I did. I always miss the game, and so there is that part of me that still that still thinks about the game and still loves the game and loves the thought of playing the game. But no, things for me worked out exactly the way they should have.
Well, and now obviously Calvin Johnson retires at an early age, retires at age 30, and folks in Detroit think, oh, here we go again. Did you have any conversations with Calvin about this decision at all?
Oh, no, hey, don't blame it on me, Rich. Don't blame it on me. Come on now. No, I mean, I haven't. Hey, look, I go to the games. Obviously, I go and cheer Calvin on, and I certainly did not see that coming. And he's been a great player for us, but it definitely hurts. But I know that it is it is a tough decision, and sometimes you just don't know what a player is going through. I understand that maybe he's been banged up quite a bit, and maybe that played into it, But I haven't talked to Calvin in quite a while, and when I did talk to him, I promise you, it was not about retirement or anything like that.
Well, I'm not trying to stick you with that bill here, Barry. It's just, people just draw the lines connecting it. You're their all-time great running back. He's their all-time great wide receiver, and he decides to retire earlier than anybody expected or Lions fans wanted to see it. And that's why I just figured I'll ask you if you counseled him in any way, if he ever reached out and spoke to you about that sort of thing, Barry.
Certainly not. Again, I go and cheer the players on, and I was as surprised as anyone that he retired. You certainly see a guy like him. He had a lot of great years left in front of him, and I'll say this. All we can do is guess, but I wouldn't close the door. I mean, maybe he'll return at some point. Who knows?
Barry Sanders joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Ezekiel Elliott was just chosen 4th overall last night, and the previous 6 running backs taken top 5 in the draft all the way back to 2005, only 1 Pro Bowl appearance from them. What is so difficult about going from the collegiate level to the NFL at this position, chosen that high, Barry?
Well, it often will depend on the team you go to and what's around you. We know that the draft itself is an educated guess, and it's a tough position. And a lot of teams, are kind of, they don't run the ball the same way they used to. There isn't the same emphasis there, and you're not certain of getting a great player, even if you do draft high. So you have a lot of things against you, and frankly, Rich, this is a very simple statement, but it's just a heck of a lot harder running against a pro defense than a college defense. It's a heck of a lot harder. I mean, it's not even close. The schemes against you, the athletes you're playing against. I mean, it is a wide difference, a large difference, and so. For those reasons, it just makes that jump to the next level very, very difficult.
Well, it also helps to have eyes in the back of your head, like it seemed like you had too, Barry. And we had Marcus Allen on our show at the Super Bowl, and he talked about that Super Bowl run where he made that famous pirouette and then dashed to the end zone against Washington. And he said the world slowed down for him. It was like he was running in slow motion. What was it like for you when you were running and making those moves that seemed like superhuman, Barry? Can you walk me through that process?
Well, for me, I would have to say that it started very, very early, watching guys like Marcus Allen, because I was glued to my television when Marcus Allen was making that run against the Washington team and the Washington defense that no one thought the Raiders could beat. By the way, we don't have to relive that game, but I was a big, huge Raiders fan, and I just absorbed everything from guys like Marcus Allen, guys like Tony Dorsett. I love watching Earl Campbell. Obviously, I knew I was never going to run like him. I love watching Walter Payton. I mean, there's so many running backs, guys that are in the Hall of Fame, not in the Hall of Fame. Going back to guys like Terry Metcalf, one of the first guys I remember watching, the little squirrely guy, just running around the field doing pirouettes and things like that. And that had a big impact on me. So when I got to the NFL, it was the hugest honor in my life. The fact that I was there, sort of carrying the torch and carrying the mantle of guys, like I mentioned before, that had played the game at running back position. I took just great pride in it. Coming in as a Heisman Trophy winner, I know there was a lot on my shoulders, but it was for me. I put everything into it, everything I had into it. When I worked out and trained, and when I hit the field, I wanted to put my best foot forward, and I knew that I was competing against the best, and I wanted to show that I belonged there, and that's kind of how I played. I played with a chip on my shoulder. I had, I was always kind of the small guy on the team, and oftentimes had a lot of coaches question whether I had the heart to play. And so once I made it to the NFL, and throughout my career, I played with a chip on my shoulder. Like, I needed to show that I deserve to be here.
Boy, did you ever. A couple more questions for Barry Sanders. Who's the running back you'd pay to see play right now in the NFL?
Well, I would certainly pay to see Adrian Peterson. The guy, he'll be a Hall of Famer. You take even a guy like Marshawn Lynch. I know he's retired recently, but
another one. That's not your fault. That's not your fault, Barry.
Right.
Just want to make sure I'm not laying that again.
Don't blame me.
Okay.
But I think he's one of those kind of generational type running backs. And even a guy like Jamal Charles. A guy who's very slippery, very fast. Keeps the defense on their heels. But if I had to choose one, it would probably be Adrian.
And how do folks get a chance to play a round of golf with you? I know you got something going on where there's an auction where they could tee it up with you in a private course. Barry, is that true?
Oh, that's right. Certainly. Well, for the last, 11 years or so, I've been doing a fundraiser for Boys and Girls Club, South Central Kansas. And so we're auctioning off a round of golf with me at Flint Hills Golf Club in Wichita. And the proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Club. We'll play there. We'll have lunch. We'll talk about football or whatever else, and hopefully hit some good shots and enjoy a round on a great course.
Okay. And how can people do that? Where can they go to for something like that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they can go to BarrySanders.com.
BarrySanders.com. Okay, great.
Yeah,
okay.
Find out more about that. Yeah, thanks.
Barry, you are the man. Thanks for calling. I miss chatting with you. You call in any time, okay? Let's keep in touch.
Thanks a lot, man. No, definitely good catching up with you, man, and I'll talk to you down the road.
Of course. That's Barry Sanders.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.